Have you ever found yourself waking up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, unable to fall back asleep? It's a common experience, especially for older adults, and you're not alone in this. Many people over the age of 50 face this frustrating middle-of-the-night wake-up. It can feel like a mystery, but it's not a coincidence. It may be your body's natural response to the changes that come with aging. While it can be aggravating, understanding why this happens could be the key to improving your sleep, boosting your health, and enhancing your overall well-being. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into why many older adults tend to wake up around 3 a.m. and explore what you can do to manage it. Whether it's due to a decrease in melatonin production or a shift in your internal clock, we'll explore how these natural aging processes affect your sleep cycle. We'll also talk about how physical discomfort, health issues, lifestyle changes, and even emotional concerns can disrupt your rest at night. But don't worry, this isn't about resigning yourself to sleepless nights as a permanent reality. We're here to share practical, real-world solutions that can help you manage these changes. We'll cover simple yet effective adjustments you can make to your daily routine, how to optimize your sleep environment, and how small lifestyle tweaks can improve the quality of your rest. So, if you've ever wondered why you keep waking up at 3 a.m. or if you're frustrated by nights of restless sleep, stick with us. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the science behind your sleep patterns and some proven tools to help you get back on track. Trust me, this is information you won't want to miss. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading valuable lessons by liking and sharing it with others. And hey, if you find this topic interesting, leave a comment with the number 1. If it's not your thing, feel free to comment 0, and let me know what I can do to improve and make these videos better for you. Now, let's jump in. Number 1. Reduced melatonin production. As we age, many of us find ourselves waking up in the middle of the night, often at the same time, usually around 3 a.m., and it can feel like our bodies are betraying us. One of the most significant reasons for this is the natural decline in melatonin production that occurs as we get older. Melatonin, often referred to as the sleep hormone, is vital for regulating our sleep-wake cycle, that delicate internal clock that keeps us in sync with the rhythm of day and night. It's the quiet force that helps us fall asleep, stay asleep, and feel rested when we wake. When you were younger, melatonin flowed steadily through your body, almost like a reassuring presence guiding you into deep, uninterrupted sleep. You could fall asleep effortlessly after a long day and rest soundly, allowing yourself to wake up feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. But, as time moves on and the years add up, your body's ability to produce melatonin begins to slow down. And while you might still be able to fall asleep easily after a long, exhausting day or a quiet evening, you might find yourself waking up earlier and earlier. Whether it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or if you're unlucky, 4 a.m., you'll suddenly wake up in the dark, feeling fully alert and unable to slip back into that peaceful slumber. It's not the result of a loud noise or a random bad dream. Your body is simply adjusting to the fact that there's no longer enough melatonin to keep you in that deep, uninterrupted sleep. It's an incredibly frustrating experience, one that can leave you staring at the ceiling, wondering why your body just doesn't seem to be working the way it once did. But here's the important truth. This isn't a sign of failure. It's not because you're doing something wrong, and it doesn't mean that your body is malfunctioning. This shift is simply a part of getting older, a natural and inevitable consequence of the passage of time. As your melatonin levels decrease, your body reacts, and it becomes a reminder of how our internal chemistry is slowly changing with age. What makes this even more frustrating, and almost cruel, is that your bedroom environment might be making things worse. Even small amounts of light, whether it's the distant glow of a street lamp outside your window, the soft yet persistent flicker of a digital clock on your nightstand, or the faint light from a hallway outside your door, can suppress melatonin production even further. These seemingly insignificant sources of light can trick your body into thinking it's time to wake up, and suddenly, that peaceful slumber is slipping further and further from your grasp. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to external triggers, and the subtle cues around us, like light, become more disruptive, turning a simple early morning wake-up into a constant, frustrating pattern. Take John, for instance. At 72 years old, John had always considered himself a solid sleeper, someone who could lay his head down at night and wake up feeling truly rested. But in recent months, he found himself waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. nearly every night, wide awake, as though his body had decided it was time to rise and shine. It wasn't stress or anxiety keeping him awake, it was just his body signaling to him that the sleep was over. At first, this change felt almost unnerving for John. Why was this happening? What was he doing wrong? But once he understood that this was simply a part of aging and the natural decline of melatonin, he felt a sense of relief. No longer did he blame himself for waking up so early. Instead, he began to embrace the shift and adapt to his body's new rhythm. John began making small, meaningful changes to help his body align with this new rhythm. He darkened his bedroom as much as possible, blocking out any light that could disrupt his sleep. He made a point to avoid screens, whether it was his phone, the TV, or his tablet, for at least an hour before bed, allowing his body to start winding down naturally. Additionally, he started taking a short evening walk, a gentle way to calm his mind and reinforce his circadian rhythm. These little changes, although simple, sent a clear message to his body that it was still nighttime, helping him feel more in control. And while he still found himself waking up early from time to time, he had learned to work with his body rather than fight against it, embracing the natural changes that come with aging. If there's one thing that John's experience highlights, it's that small adjustments can go a long way. Aging doesn't mean we have to surrender to restless nights or sleepless struggles. It means we have to be a little kinder to ourselves, accepting that things are changing, and in doing so, finding new ways to care for ourselves. So, how can you improve your sleep, even as melatonin production decreases? First, consider dimming the lights during the hour leading up to bedtime. This small act helps to signal to your body that it's time to wind down. Limit your screen time, as the blue light emitted by your devices can further suppress melatonin production. And finally, create a calm, peaceful atmosphere in your bedroom, whether it's through soothing music, a relaxing book, or a warm cup of tea, so your body and mind can feel at ease as they transition into the restful state they need. These changes may seem simple, but they hold great power in improving your sleep quality and helping you embrace the changes of aging with grace and acceptance. The journey to better sleep as we age isn't about perfection. It's about making peace with the natural ebb and flow of our bodies, finding ways to adjust, and allowing ourselves the grace to sleep better, one night at a time. Number 2. Shifted sleep cycle and advanced sleep phase. Another significant reason older adults tend to wake up around 3 a.m. is due to a natural shift in the body's internal clock, what experts call advanced sleep phase. As we age, our circadian rhythms, those natural cycles that regulate our sleep-wake patterns, tend to shift forward. This means that as the years go by, you might start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening and waking up earlier in the morning, often without even trying. You might notice that you're dozing off during a late-night movie or waking up without the help of an alarm at dawn, even on those days when you'd love to sleep in. This shift is not simply a matter of habit or preference. It's deeply embedded in your biology, and it can become more pronounced as the years go by. In your younger years, your body's natural rhythm aligned with a later bedtime, and waking up in the morning felt more in sync with the rising sun. But as time passes, your internal clock gradually shifts forward, which means your sleep window, the period during which your body is in its deepest rest, naturally adjusts too. You may find yourself falling asleep at 9 p.m. or even earlier, without intending to, which can mean your body has already completed a full sleep cycle by the time 3 a.m. rolls around. So, instead of sleeping until sunrise, you wake up feeling like your rest is complete, even if it's still pitch dark outside. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It simply means your body is now on a different schedule. Think of it like a clock that has gradually been wound forward over the years, ticking just a little earlier each season. While this change isn't harmful, it can feel frustrating, especially if your routines, family obligations, or lifestyle choices no longer sync with your body's new rhythm. There's also a subtle psychological side to this shift that often goes unnoticed. Many older adults live in quieter households or spend more time alone. This calm and peaceful environment can amplify your body's natural signals, making it easier for your system to start winding down earlier in the evening. Without the busy pace of work, social events, or a long commute to keep you on a structured schedule, your body naturally begins its nightly shutdown process much earlier in the day. The lack of external time cues, such as deadlines, meetings, or the usual hustle and bustle, can make this shift in your sleep pattern even stronger. Take Tom, for instance. He's 68 and retired. Tom usually has dinner around 5:30 p.m. and then spends an hour watching TV before heading to bed. By 9 p.m., he's already asleep, and by 3 a.m., his body is ready to wake up. He didn't feel anxious or stressed, just wide awake and alert. At first, he thought he was struggling with insomnia. But once Tom learned about advanced sleep phase, he realized his sleep wasn't broken. It had simply been rescheduled by his body's natural rhythm. Tom started making small adjustments to his evening routine to stay awake a little longer. He began reading a book with a warm light, taking a short walk after dinner, and occasionally calling his daughter for a quick chat before bed. These simple social and sensory cues helped to stretch his sleep window a bit longer, gradually pushing his wake-up time closer to the morning hours. The result? Fewer early morning wake-ups and a stronger sense of alignment with his daily life. This natural shift in the sleep cycle is something that many older adults experience but rarely talk about. Understanding that your sleep pattern is simply evolving with age can lift the heavy weight of guilt or confusion you may have felt about waking up at 3 a.m. It can offer a more compassionate approach, allowing you to work with your body's changing rhythm rather than fighting against it. So if you find yourself waking up around 3 a.m. and feeling like you've already had a full night's rest, it's likely your body is now operating on an earlier schedule. Once you recognize this, you can adjust your routine to better support your overall health and well-being. Number 3. Physical discomfort and health-related disruptions. Another common reason older adults wake up around 3 a.m. is the body's response to physical discomfort or underlying health issues that often arise during the quiet hours of the night. As we age, the likelihood of dealing with chronic conditions or subtle health problems increases, and many of these can disrupt our sleep without any loud, obvious warning signs. These issues often creep in quietly, like an ache in a joint, a full bladder, or a sudden twinge in your back, and that discomfort can be enough to pull you out of a peaceful sleep right in the middle of the night. Take arthritis, for example. As we get older, conditions like arthritis become more common, and they can make it difficult to stay in the same position for long periods. You might not notice the discomfort when you first fall asleep, but after several hours of stillness, the pressure from those aches can build up enough to rouse you from sleep. For some people, it's nighttime acid reflux that wakes them up, especially if they ate dinner too late or reclined too soon after eating. Even something as simple as muscle cramps, a dry mouth, or a slight shift in room temperature can trigger a subtle awakening in the early morning hours when your body's defenses are more sensitive and less forgiving than they used to be. A particularly common physical reason that older adults wake up at 3 a.m. is the need to urinate. As we age, the bladder becomes less elastic, and the urge to relieve itself can come on faster and more frequently. During the day, distractions keep your mind occupied, so you may not notice it, but at 3 a.m., when everything is quiet and still, that sensation becomes impossible to ignore. And once you get up, even if it's just to head to the bathroom, your body might have already shifted from a deep, restful sleep to a lighter, more alert state. This makes it harder to fall back asleep. There's also the matter of medications, which many older adults take regularly for conditions like blood pressure, heart health, or pain management. These medications often come with side effects, such as frequent changes in body temperature, increased urination, or heightened sensitivity to noise or light, all of which can quietly impact your ability to sleep. You might not even realize the connection between your medication and your sleep patterns until someone points it out or you start tracking it more closely. Take Helen, for instance, a 76-year-old woman who's always been a relatively light sleeper. Over the past year, she started waking up consistently around 3:30 a.m. At first, she thought it was just part of getting older. But after several months of disrupted sleep, Helen decided to speak with her doctor and learned that one of her medications was affecting her hydration levels and increasing her nighttime bathroom trips. With her doctor's guidance, Helen adjusted the timing of her medication and made some simple lifestyle tweaks. As a result, she now wakes up less frequently and can fall back asleep more easily when she does. The key takeaway here is that physical wake-ups don't mean your body is failing. They are signs that your body is still doing its job, responding, alerting, and adjusting. These signals can guide you toward better self-care, more informed decisions, and a deeper sense of trust in your body's ability to adapt. Waking up at 3 a.m. might feel like an inconvenience, but it can also be a gentle reminder to listen to your body and make small changes that support your health and improve the quality of your rest. Number 4. Lifestyle habits that shift sleep rhythm. As we grow older, there are many changes we don't fully notice creeping into our lives. One powerful yet often overlooked reason why so many older adults wake up at 3 a.m. is connected to the small, seemingly harmless daily habits that subtly shift your internal rhythm over time. These habits, ingrained over the years, may seem innocent enough at first, but the cumulative impact can be staggering. Things like eating dinner earlier, winding down more quickly in the evening, and experiencing a noticeable drop in physical activity as the days pass by are all seemingly minor choices, but they add up. I've seen it time and again in the lives of family members and friends. It's heartbreaking to watch someone you care about struggle with sleep, unaware that these little routines, habits they've formed over decades, are contributing to their early morning wakefulness. As people age, especially after retirement, the once bustling days full of work, errands, and social interaction give way to a quieter existence. And that change, while it can bring peace, often comes with a hidden consequence. There's a drastic shift in the daily rhythm, and this is when the internal clock begins to take the brunt of it. When the body no longer receives those external cues, like a work schedule, mental tasks, or physical exertion, it's left to create its rhythm. Unfortunately, without those environmental markers, the body's internal sleep-wake cycle can become confused. The small things matter, like winding down earlier, avoiding bright lights, and reducing stimulation. It's in this quiet, almost serene atmosphere that the brain produces melatonin sooner, signaling that it's time to sleep, often much earlier than you expect. Before you know it, the clock reads 9 p.m., and you're already in a deep slumber, unaware that it's not the right time for your body's natural sleep cycle. As you fall asleep earlier, your body also finishes its rest earlier, often making you wake up at those dreaded pre-dawn hours. And with that comes the realization that you're staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wide awake, while the world outside is still sound asleep. It's a frustrating experience that so many older adults face, and they're left wondering why they wake up long before the sun rises, when it's still dark and quiet outside. Another issue tied to these changes is meal timing. While eating dinner earlier can be a healthier choice, it sometimes leads to a drop in blood sugar during the night, especially if you haven't had a light snack before bed. As metabolism slows with age, it's easier for sleep to become light and more prone to disruptions, even from something as small as a drop in blood sugar. This doesn't just affect the body physically, but emotionally, too. Imagine lying awake in the quiet of the night, feeling utterly helpless, unable to find the deep sleep you crave. It's an emotional roller coaster. Take Walter, for example. He's 74 years old and recently retired. For him, these changes didn't happen overnight. They crept in slowly, almost imperceptibly. His days lost their structure, and his evenings became far more relaxed. He found himself eating dinner by 5 p.m., dozing off in his recliner while watching the evening news, and heading to bed most nights by 9 p.m. At first, He didn't even notice that his routine had shifted by a few hours. But over time, that shift had led to something unexpected. Walter now woke up at 3 a.m., unable to get back to sleep. He would lie there, confused and frustrated, wondering why he was wide awake while everyone else was still tucked in bed. What's truly striking about Walter's experience, and the experiences of so many others, is how easy it is to overlook the influence of our daily routines. Our bodies crave rhythm, patterns that tell us when to rest and when to rise. It's as if we're all walking to the beat of a song, and when that beat is altered, when the rhythm shifts even just a little bit, the body struggles to catch up. Our internal clocks get thrown off, causing us to experience fragmented sleep, waking up earlier than we'd like, and spending the rest of the night trying to make sense of it all. This struggle isn't just physical, it's emotional. It's the quiet frustration of waking up in the middle of the night, unsure of what happened to the restful sleep you once knew. Number 5. Emotional and psychological concerns. Sometimes, the reasons behind waking up at 3 a.m. are not rooted in physical discomfort or the usual nighttime disturbances. They go much deeper, touching the emotional and psychological layers that we carry within ourselves. As we age, those emotional layers, so often tucked away and buried beneath the constant noise and responsibilities of our busy lives, begin to stir when the world around us becomes still. And the silence of the night, which was once a source of peace, transforms into a space where all the unresolved emotions, the memories we've pushed aside, and the fears we've tried to ignore for so long emerge in full force. In those quiet hours, when everything outside is dormant, it's as if our minds awaken to confront what we have been running from. These are the times when we lie wide awake, feeling the weight of unspoken words, forgotten regrets, and long-held dreams that never quite took shape. It's almost as though the heartache that's been tucked away in the recesses of our soul decides that it can no longer stay hidden, and the mind, which has worked tirelessly to keep things moving, has no choice but to slow down and pay attention. And so, you find yourself staring at the ceiling, heart racing, not from any physical ailment or external factor, but from the quiet, intense reflection that takes over in the stillness of the night. You may not even realize how much emotional baggage you've been carrying until it surfaces in those quiet moments. Those long-forgotten memories, the ones that you convinced yourself were behind you, suddenly flood your consciousness. Whether it's the faces of loved ones you've lost, old decisions that still seem unclear, relationships that faded away without closure, or words you never said but wish you had, the stillness allows these feelings to resurface with an intensity that seems almost unbearable. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. What's so striking about this experience is that it's different from the intense, chaotic anxiety you might have experienced in your younger years. When you were younger, anxiety felt like a sharp, sudden rush, an overwhelming flood that was hard to ignore. But now, as we grow older, the restlessness is quieter, subtler, more reflective. It's not so much a frantic, heart-pounding fear as it is a low, steady hum in the background. It's as though your mind is quietly sorting through everything. Your past, your choices, your losses, allowing you to feel the weight of things you never fully processed. You might not be able to pinpoint exactly what's causing the unrest, but you can feel that something isn't quite right. It's like a silent ache that creeps in when the world falls quiet and you're left alone with your thoughts, suddenly aware of all the things you've been carrying with you without even realizing it. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that your mind tends to wander back to the past. Perhaps it's a moment in time that feels unresolved, or a person who's no longer in your life but still holds a place in your heart. Maybe it's a decision you made that turned out differently than you expected, or a dream that was left unfulfilled, one that never quite found its way into reality. And what makes it so much more powerful now is that you no longer have the same distractions. Your body doesn't have the same demands placed on it anymore. There are no more hurried mornings, packed schedules, or hectic responsibilities to fill the space. In the absence of those daily distractions, there's a void that seems to magnify everything. The loneliness that you may have been able to ignore during the day becomes much more apparent at night, when all the noise fades away, and you're left alone with your thoughts. The quiet can become so loud, so consuming, as it reveals all the emotional gaps you never quite noticed. Loneliness, in particular, has a profound role in this. As we grow older, our social circles tend to shrink. Our children grow up, leave home, and start their own families. Friends pass on, or they become increasingly busy with their own lives, and the constant connection that once defined our days starts to fade. At first, it doesn't seem so apparent. You may find comfort in your routines and feel content with the rhythm of life. But then, when night falls, that comfort can turn into something more painful. It's a hollow feeling, the quiet reminder that the house feels emptier now, the phone stays silent more often than not, and the simple conversations that once filled the day are no longer as frequent. The day might be filled with the motions of life, work, chores, maybe even some social interaction. But at night, the absence of connection feels sharper, like a sting that gets harder to ignore the more you try to sleep. There's something about the stillness of the night that amplifies these feelings. You may not realize it, but during the day, you are constantly engaged with the world around you. You move through your day with purpose, checking off tasks, interacting with others, filling your time. But once the evening sets in and you find yourself alone, that sense of connection begins to fade. The loneliness feels heavier. It's the kind of loneliness that comes from not just being alone, but from feeling disconnected from the people you care about. It's the weight of all those quiet nights spent waiting for a call that never comes, or the absence of someone who used to share the space with you. It's the feeling that, in the quiet, you are missing something or someone who once filled that void. And yet, despite the discomfort, the pain, the deep ache of these quiet nights, I believe there is also an opportunity for healing. The silence, as unsettling as it may feel at first, can be the very thing that brings our hearts closer to understanding. It's in these moments of restlessness that we can begin to reflect on what we've lived through, what we've lost, and what we still carry. It's in this stillness that we can also begin to forgive ourselves for the things we didn't do, the words we didn't say, and the choices we regret. We can begin to look at the emotional gaps and decide whether we will let them define us or whether we will fill them with something new. Something hopeful, something peaceful, something that acknowledges our pain but refuses to be consumed by it. The quiet hours of the night, when you are left alone with your thoughts, might seem like the hardest part of the day. But I believe they also carry the potential for the deepest growth. It's when everything slows down and we are no longer rushing to fill every moment with noise and activity that we can finally listen to our hearts. We can make peace with our past, embrace the parts of ourselves that have been long neglected, and perhaps even find a new sense of hope. Because, in those still moments, there is always room for healing. And in the silence, we might just hear the voice of our strength calling us forward. As we wrap up today's discussion, we've journeyed through the quiet, reflective moments of our lives that often arise as we age. Those times when the noise of the world fades and we're left alone with our thoughts. We've explored the emotional and psychological concerns that surface in the stillness of the night, and how the emptiness we sometimes feel can become a pathway to deeper understanding and healing. So, what have you learned from this conversation today? Perhaps it's the realization that the restlessness we experience in those quiet hours isn't just a sign of something wrong, but a call for reflection, understanding, and ultimately, healing. Or maybe it's the awareness that our emotional well-being deserves as much attention as our physical health, especially as we grow older. I'd love to hear from you. What is one thing that you've learned today, and how do you plan to bring it into your own life? Take a moment to reflect and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation and support each other as we navigate the emotional journey of aging. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we're here to bring more content that speaks to your heart. Thank you for being with us today.